Hello my friends, welcome to Together Run 59. I'm excited that you are here. Let's start by connecting with some element of nature for you. What am I going to touch? For you to just be with the ground. I'm going to touch, it might be a bad idea, a little mushroom. Because mushrooms are an important part of growth as well. And life. A very important part of life, especially fungi. Alright, you ready? My watch is going back to blank screen. Give it a few seconds. Alright, ready? 3, 2, and 1. Off we go. Oh, friends, I cannot tell you how amazing it feels this morning. It's 64 degrees. And it just feels so good after so many mornings of it being 90-something% humidity, or like the dew point most days was at 73, regardless of whether I got up early or went later. It was just tough. Sometimes dew point of 75. It was humid, it was hot, and this feels so good. My legs are a bit sore from a workout, but well worth it for a cooler morning. Okay, if this is your first time joining me for a Together Run, or joining us, the community, for a Together Run, welcome. I'm excited you are here. If this is your 59th Together Run, awesome, that is so cool. And thanks for joining. We are going to work through a few different elements of our Together Run, as we always do. We'll start with the meditative elements, and then we will go on to meditative / mental health check-in, and then we'll go on to a conversation. I don't know where we'll go from there. We'll just go where my mind takes me. And where your mind's going to take you, we'll see. You have lots of quiet space to reflect on your own life, your own situation, your own run. And I know that sounds quite daunting. Sometimes we, in our daily life, run from that, finding any little distraction. Let's face it, most of the time grabbing our phones, so we don't have to be, quiet for a minute in our own thoughts, in our own heads. But this is going to be little doses with a purpose, and it's good for you, it's good for me, even if we don't want it. So this is a good way to practice it. Okay. So we always begin our Together Runs with a body scan, and that's going to mean I am going to talk through the parts of your body, tell you just a little bit about where to pay attention, just so you can be inside your body, feeling, checking in with things, feeling how you feel, and we're just going to check in. And then from there, we'll go on to a senses check-in. We'll check in with our 5 senses, or 5 of our senses, to further ground ourselves to our body. And then we'll go on to some other things I'll tell you as we go. So you ready for the body scan? I'm going to call out some areas just to have you draw your attention to. If something else jumps at you, by all means, be with that part. It just allows us to see how our body is doing at the beginning of this run. Are you ready? Starting from the top of your head, working your way down into the eyes, making sure those are nice and relaxed, not squinting, not scrunched. Going round the back of the head to the yin, to the front, to the jaw. Those of you who aren't in physical therapy, which I don't think I've done my physical therapy exercises in days. So am I in physical therapy? You make sure your jaw is nice and relaxed. And going into the front of your neck, around the back of your neck, going into your shoulders, upper back, into the upper arm, around the elbow, into the forearm, into your wrist, your hand, and your fingers, coming back to the main part of the torso, through your chest, through your stomach, going into the hips and pelvis, all around that area, just checking in. Going into the hamstrings, the back of your leg, around to the front, your quads, and into the front of your knee, the back of the knee, into the calf and the shin, coming into the inner ankle and the outer ankle, into the heel of your foot, the arch of your foot, top of your foot, the ball of your foot, and last but not least, check in with those little toes. How are you feeling? For me, my legs are a little sore from doing some hills yesterday, and one of my feet is a bit my foot is a bit achy. Otherwise, things feel pretty loose, pretty good. Yeah, including my jaw. So for those of you who missed last week, I talked about how I've been having, supposed to be doing physical therapy for my jaw. The way I basically have a pillow that's way too hard for someone who sleeps on the front and side. I mean, it's not necessarily hard, it's just too stuffed up. It's one of those ones that you can add things to and take from, and I just basically have too much in there, and I can feel it. Like sometimes I wake up in the night and my jaw just feels really tight, and I can feel that it's not sitting in a natural position, and so my jaw like cracks. Well, not cracks, but makes a loud noise a lot. And so my dentist friend gave me some exercises to do, and I haven't been doing them this week. Okay, let's move on to senses check-in, which is going to be, we're going to check in with 5 of our primary senses, and we are going to end with sight because that's the one we overuse, and we want to leave that one to last. And then we will begin with a taste and smell. So what I want you to do is take a nice deep breath, as deep as you can for running, and take one more. What do you smell? For me, I smell just like freshness. Yeah, it's just like a fresh smell in the air. What do you taste? For me, I take my toothpaste and just used it right before I went out the door. I'm going to talk about that to remember in a few minutes. Next thing we're going to do is, if it's safe for you to do so, you're going to take your headphones out for about 30 seconds to 45 seconds. Just going to check in with the sounds around you, really trying to be present in where you are, listening out for things you wouldn't usually pay attention to, and seeing what you hear, or hearing what you hear. For me, if it's not safe to do so, you can listen to my sounds, just pay attention to what you hear in my surroundings, or what you hear through your headphones, and we'll check in about 30 to 45 seconds. Off you go. It's kind of amazing when you think about it, how you just hear, even if you're in somewhere like New York or London where there's a lot going on. Maybe not if you were in the middle of the day where the horns were honking and all that, but, just being here for me, it's probably 6:30 in the morning, and it's just, you hear nature all around, just little signs, So what did you hear? Is there anything that you don't normally pay attention to that jumped out to you today? I really enjoyed, as I said, hearing all the unexpected noises of nature that came out, just simply by being quiet with my thoughts for a minute, listening. Okay, so next we're going to move on to tactile, sense of touch. So I want you to just be in your body, feeling whatever your awareness jumps to. So it might be on the outside of your body, might be on the inside of your body, just letting your awareness flow where it goes. Ready? Off we go. Few more seconds. Okay. What did you feel? Where did your attention jump to when you were being just aware inside your body? For me, I felt the cool air against my forehead, so my forehead and my temples. I felt a little bit of sweat in the corner of my forehead. I felt my foot just a little bit achy. I feel my fingers touching my palm. And I feel a little tickle, which I now feel the need to scratch on the back of my hair. What did you feel? Okay. And finally, we're on to our sense of sight, our vision. Now with this, I want you to go where your attention takes you, but I want you, as always, to just make sure you do one thing throughout some point of your senses check-in with your vision, with your eyes. And that's to find some small detail somewhere of something that you don't normally pay attention to. So just looking at the fine details of something in your world. Okay, ready? Off you go. Few more seconds. Okay. What did you see? Where was you? Where were your eyes drawn to? For me, my eyes were drawn to one of the houses that wasn't perfectly manicured, seemed to be letting things just freely grow, but they didn't. They seemed to have a intricate variation of weeds, I suppose, but they were all very different. And just I was looking at the different patterns of those plants. Okay, thank you for doing your senses check-in with me. Next, we are gonna do a mental health check-in. So I want to ask you, how are you? Really? I don't want you obviously can't tell me in person. We can both be quiet and present within our runs, but I want you to imagine either what you would tell me if we were together, if we were running together, or if you know you'd never be able to share that vulnerability, which is okay too. what can you at least open up to yourself about how you're feeling? So I'm going to go ahead and give you a minute or two to reflect. How are you? Really? Few more seconds. Dig a little deeper. Okay. Thank you for taking the time to share, either with me or just with yourself. It's really important we do that as often as we can, because so often we do stuff our feelings aside and just get on with things. So it's important you do that, and it's good you did. Now, how am I feeling? With this section, I don't like to think ahead of time, because I want you to have my real answer as it's coming to my consciousness. So, how am I really? Well, I feel good. Steve and I had a good chat last night, which was nice, because for the last week, well, that's not true. On my birthday last week, we went out for dinner with some friends. And we went out for a drink first. Well, I had a drink, he didn't. And we were able to chat then. But other than that, we've been kind of playing the bedtime potty pit game. Well, not potty pit, the bedtime game with the girls, where they kept coming down the stairs constantly. And just keeping each other awake till like 9:30. So Steve and I just weren't able to talk, and we were trying this different method of sitting in our bedroom and reading books. So they got bored, and they have been the last few nights coming in, sitting, reading their books, quote unquote reading, and then it's slowly been getting earlier to where they've been going in their rooms. Last night we got them in their rooms they're in their room together about 8:30. So we had some time to talk, and I really needed that. So I feel good having had that time with Steve. I feel optimistic I feel like I'm figuring out my direction. Had a long chat a few days ago with Guy Winch, who you may remember from the podcast. He's a dear friend of mine, and he's very blunt with me, which I love, and he's a psychologist, so I actually love that part, that he can, see under the surface. And he gave me some thoughts on something, and really solidified in for me where I'm going and what I want to do, which is very exciting. And then what else? I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Fern Gully in a few minutes, which is another part of how am I. A little bit anxious, but also, I'll explain that more in a minute. And I've been talking for long enough now. Okay, so we've got about 5 minutes left for the 30-minute group. At 30 minutes, I invite you to come to a walk. We'll let you walk for about 30 seconds or maybe a minute, and then we will do 2 strides, all of us, which means 10 to 15 seconds of running about 80% of your max, and you will just pick it up, not taking big steps, just little steps to increase your cadence, to just cover the ground quicker. And then those of us in the 45 and 60-minute group will continue on. Those of you in the 30-minute group can listen along, or you can head off. It's up to you. Okay, before we do that, I just want to say a few things. One is, if last week your Together run came through as 24 minutes long, I have no idea how that happened, but it was fixed now. So if you didn't manage to get the full run last week, you can go back and listen to that. 2, the mental training course, mile 20. Unfortunately, you have now missed. If you're listening to this, you have missed the sale week, but you only also have a few days left to sign up for the course before the doors shut till 2023. So I don't want to have you regretting not joining us for the mental training course. This is a 12-week course, or it can be anything from 9 to 12 weeks. And you will take this course. It has got 16 videos, 24 worksheets to help you really bring home those values. It has an accountability group, Facebook group, a private Facebook group. You get 3 Zoom calls with me during the season to have a Q&A with the rest of the group and ask questions. And you also have the opportunity to be set up with an accountability buddy. So if you have a goal race coming up that is anything more than a half marathon, I would strongly recommend you go do this. You can go to tinamio.com/mental training, and you will see, if you scroll to the bottom, all the testimonials of people whose running life it has changed. It has given them the tools, the tricks to handle anything that comes up in race day, on race day or before. And I'm really proud of it. So just don't miss out. You've got a few more days before the doors shut till the end of the year. tinamio.com/mental training. There will also be a link in the show notes. Okay. And then what else? I mentioned Chicago Marathon last week. I'm going to say it again, as some of you may have missed. If you are doing the Chicago Marathon, be sure to reach out to me. I have something exciting I want to share with you. If you are in Charlotte, North Carolina, I find out today, so I can't tell you right now, but be paying attention to the email newsletter and my social media, because if you're in Charlotte, there'll maybe, I hope, finding out today, some events coming your way on Labor Day weekend. So let me know if you live in Charlotte as well. Okay, other announcements. Well, I guess sign up for the 100 Days of Sustainability email if you want. If that's something that this isn't set so you have to do every one. It's not a challenge where if you miss a day, it's not even a challenge if you miss 10 days where I'm going to penalise you. It's literally giving you 100 ideas in short daily emails, and you can take whichever ones of those fit into your life and just make small changes. So you can sign up. Again, there's a link in the show notes, or wherever you're listening to this, you'll be able to find it. Okay, so come to a walk, 30-minute group. We'll give you a minute to walk, and then we'll go on and do our strides. Couldn't think of the word then. I feel like the sun is higher up than it usually is today. Like I got sloppy because it was cooler. Now the sun's in my face. Okay, we're ready? And 3, 2, and 1. Off you go. Okay, come to a jog or a walk. We'll take another 30 to 45 seconds and then we'll go again. Okay, ready? 3, 2, and 1. And come to a jog or a walk. And I'll say this again, I've said it many times before. If you have the choice and you're not used to doing strides in your daily life, then you probably should pick uphill over downhill if you're at a point where there's hills. It's better, I know it's harder to do uphill, but you might do damage to yourself doing downhills fast down like that if you're not used to it. Okay, 30-minute group. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you today's it Friday, so Monday, today's Monday where you're listening to this. There's another weekly stride on Wednesday, and actually last Wednesday's weekly stride was Jeremy, our podcast editor, interviewing me. So it's a bit of a flip on the script, and Jeremy has had no real idea of what he was asking. It's basically about the mental training course, how I came up with it and kind of the backstory, but he hasn't taken the course and he didn't know necessarily the backstory. So I think it's different to what you think it might be. It's not set up. He will be asking the questions that you are wondering. So go listen to that if you want. And then last Friday on the podcast, you would have heard from Philip King. So if you missed that one, go check it out. I'll see you on Wednesday. Thanks. Okay, 45, 60-minute friends. We are going to move into the next part of us run, which is I want you to tell me, if this was our first time running together, what would you tell me about yourself? If this was your 59th or 2 to 59th time of running together, what updates do you have for me since we last ran together? So I'm going to give you a few minutes. What do you have to share? Few more seconds. Dig deeper if you've come to the end of your thoughts. Okay. Thank you for sharing. If you feel like sharing a photo on social media, I'd really love to see those. I know more of you have been doing it lately, especially on Facebook. And it just really makes me, there's the cars, really makes me so happy to know that you're joining me and to see where you're joining me. And those of you who send me pictures on Instagram, it just is so nice to know you're with me and to see what you look like. And it doesn't matter how sweaty you look or what your background is. It's just nice for me to know we went for a run together. So keep those coming. And why did I mention that? Oh, if you want to share any of the updates you told me on just now on that, when you put up on social media, that's a really, I love that. So actually, on that note, let's come to a walk. Let's stop and take a picture. Yep, stop your watch. My watch has stopped. Take a picture of you, wherever you are. Doesn't matter what your background is. I don't have a particularly exciting background. A no parking this side of the street sign, a telephone pole or a light pole. Take a picture. Go and do it. I'd love to see it. Ready? Done it? Okay, we're going to go again in 3, 2, and 1. And by the way, it's okay to stop occasionally in a run, even randomly. You don't have to wait for a light to hit right and be disappointed if it doesn't. It's okay to sometimes just stop and take a minute to just take in your surroundings, because even though we're running and we're moving slower than we do in a car, we still sometimes, quite often actually, end up just going through the motions and not paying attention to our surroundings. So stopping occasionally, yes, to take a picture, can just jar us out with that and make us just reflect on the fact we're doing this, or that the magic of technology has advanced so I can have a small enough microphone that clips onto my phone that I can run with and picks up the sound that I can then upload to my computer, which someone else, Jeremy, on the other end can then edit and put theme music on and send it to me, and I can upload it and write some words about it, and you can download it onto your phone. I mean, when we stop and think about all those steps, it's kind of amazing that we're doing this right now. So why not take the extra amazing step and take a photo with the camera on your phone that works with incredible precision and accuracy, so I can see what you look like, because you know what I look like. So yeah, I'd love to see it, is my long way of saying. On that note, look like, every now and again I'll meet someone and they'll like recognize my voice and they'll be like, oh, I didn't know you look like that. And I'm always like, what does that mean? Like, what were you envisioning? Like, I think probably people think I'd assume people think I just have like straight blonde hair, but I don't know. Did you have a image in your mind of what I look like before you came across what I actually did? I'm curious, but yeah. What else was I going to say about that? There was something else. Oh, I don't know. Okay, so I mentioned to you about wanting to talk about Fern Gully. So, as I mentioned, so you've given me your updates. Now I'm going to give you some of mine and thoughts. I mentioned that I'm deciding more on my direction, and it's definitely moving in the direction of sustainability with running. In case that wasn't obvious, if you've been listening to these together runs, I often end up talking about trees. I often end up talking about climate change. Not like giving you a lecture, but just little things and passing because they're on my mind. And so something about that with helping races and events to think more sustainably. But anyway, I don't know exactly. I just can tell there is a path for me forward with sustainability and running, or at least on health and wellness, coming clear. And if you have any ideas on that, or if you know a group that is looking for someone to talk on climate, or maybe maybe you have a conference at your work that you go to every year or something, and you could suggest to them a speaker, I'd really appreciate the help. But with that, whenever I get interviewed, people bring up about my passion for the environment, kind of big part of me. And quite often they ask me, where did that come from? And in the past, I'd always said something about being in geography class and hearing that some of the Scandinavian countries were getting acid rain that was coming from pollution in the UK, and they're being horrified by that when they didn't do the damage and they were having the horrible side effect. So I'd always thought it was that, and I'd always known my dad is very environmentally conscious as well. Like, he's always been on about not wasting things, water, food, clothes, everything. He's very much thought that way. So I knew it came from him. But we were watching, I had Chloe and Bailey watch The Lion King yesterday. Oh no, not yesterday, a few days ago. We finished it yesterday. And then I was, getting chills as the Circle of Life song came on. And that was my favourite Disney movie as a child. And what is that about? The circle of life, not disrupting the way nature works, right? Or the way things are supposed to work. And so that's a little bit of an environmental film, right? But then I thought, wow, well, what about Fern Gully? Because that movie had always been in my mind. By the way, we're 30 seconds away from coming to a walk, 45-minute group. So when it gets to 45, just go ahead and walk. I'll continue the story after the strides. And I promise it's worth staying for if you're in the 45-minute group. And it's just, well, I don't promise actually, but I think it's worth staying for. But I want to make sure we do these strides, so I might just pause. Fern Gully. See if you can remember. Did you watch it? About the rainforest and the pollution and logging. Okay, give you 30 seconds, and then we're going to go ahead and do our 2 strides. Okay, we ready? 3, 2, and 1. Come to a jog or walk. Give you another 30 seconds, and then we'll go again. Oh, there's that big, beautiful tree. A few weeks ago, I noticed it. The trunk is so big. I might actually, if you don't mind on the way back, I might pause this recording so I can just pull up my plant identification app and see what tree that is, because I don't come over here very much otherwise. Alright, ready? 3, 2, and 1. Okay, come to a jog or a walk, 45-minute crew. Remember to share your photo. If you want to hang around and listen, I'd love that. This is really, I think, important piece of who I am. If you don't, that's fine. We can run together again another time. Okay, so Fern Gully. Fern Gully, in my head, all my life was a Disney movie. It turns out, I found out yesterday, while looking it up, that it was actually someone who worked at Disney who went off and made their own film. It was their first attempt at a film. So it is very Disney-esque, but it's not Disney. I'm not sure who, it's Universal or who. You don't really see it around anywhere. It's not on any of the, as far as I know, on any of the streaming networks, even though it is brought up in conversation quite a lot. Like, it's definitely in people's consciousness in terms of people being in lush forests and saying, like, Fern Gully or whatever. Anyway, so the premise is this movie is about this beautiful rainforest, just like absolutely stunning. And there's fairies that live in it. Now stick with me. There's fairies that live in it, and the fairies to help things to grow. And they help, nature to work together and in harmony. And there's this old grandmother fairy and this younger fairy who's very interested in the grandmother fairy. Well, she's not a grandmother, but I don't know. She's like the leader, I suppose. And one day the young fairy sees a black cloud of smoke, and she tells this Magi, and she says not to worry, but she knows it is something to worry about. But the young fairy, Krista, gets curious, and she goes to see what it is. Along the way she meets a bat, which only watching it yesterday did I put together what they had said about the bat, which was that it was a human testing bat, and it's portrayed by Robin Williams. And this bat he sings a song about how the wires stuck in him and the treatments he had. And as an adult, that's quite horrifying to think about. But anyway, him and her in the back they accidentally, long story, they come across these humans with this giant leveler machine that cuts down trees. One of the teenagers who is working with that machine is putting X's on trees, and then this machine then cuts down the X's. Now he accidentally puts an X on this big tree, big gross looking tree that holds in some kind of toxic sludge monster thing. They let that out. That takes over the leveler. And by the way, this giant monster thing eats oil and gas, like fossil fuels, as its energy. So you see it like sucking the energy, and it sings a song about toxic love or something. Anyway, so they of course go towards Fern Gully. They're about to destroy their like home mother tree. They've destroyed everything else, and you know what happens, they manage to stop it, and the fairies are actually able to grow back the trees. But it's obviously a climate change movie, right? Fossil fuels or like oil, gas, cutting down trees. But watching it last night, I know that was a long, rambly thing. I definitely recommend watching it. It's only an hour and 15 minutes. I had to watch it on YouTube. So you may have to pay for it, but watching this movie in the early stages, you see them cutting these trees, and you see them cut them down, put them on this machine to where they shred them and make them into like deck boards or boards or something. And that's where it dawned on me that is why I hate that noise so much, because it was the exact noise that I hear on a daily basis here, and that feels like my heart's being ripped out of my chest every day. And I got quite emotional watching it, because it was just that realization that like, oh my God, that's it. And I honestly think that this movie was a big part of why I care so much about me and Jess. I know used to watch this a lot, and I asked her, and she said she remembers watching it. And I honestly think, for me, that might have been a big part of where this passion came from. And the thing is, the story was it's 30 years old. And, you know, it's not pushed about everywhere. It's not something that most people think about. But if you have seen Fern Gully, I urge you to go watch it again. Or if you haven't, you know, and you want to do some homework for me, I'd really, you know, it was pretty hard hitting and pretty obvious what it's saying. So yeah, like, it's funny, I feel like I'm piecing together where this came from in me. I guess everyone cares, you know, we all care. But why is this the one thing that I want to speak out about? You know, we all have something we would stand on a box and overcome our public speaking fear for. And for me, that's it. You know, so sorry if that wasn't as interesting as I thought it might be, but for me that was a really powerful moment, and I haven't I told Steve this last night, but I haven't told anyone else, and I just wanted to share it with you all. And I ask you, where you must have a passion of some kind that, you know, a topic above all others that matters to you the most. Where did that come from for you? I'm just going to give you a few minutes to think about it. Where did that come from? Gently bring yourself back if you've got distracted. There's a dog sitting on the sidewalk. That always makes me nervous. Let's see what happens here. He's staring at me. There you go, not moving. Oh, this hill. Okay, last few seconds. Actually, you know what? It's probably going to take you more than a few minutes of thinking during a run. But I encourage you, start thinking about it. Because for me, it was such a beautiful feeling to have put together some pieces of my life like that over the past few weeks. Of course, media for me, or for anyone my age, played a role in what mattered. And so, yeah, take a think. What was it for you? Okay, so you've got about a minute and a half before we do our last two strides, and we'll do those two at 58 minutes with just a jog in between, so we come to a finish right at 60 minutes. I invite you to connect in with nature when we finish that, and then we'll part ways. Oh, I forgot to look at that tree, didn't I? Oh well. So what I've been spending a lot of my runs doing is like looking up. Since the landscaper told me that my tree is invasive, I've been, and she said those trees are all over. And funny enough, we got a magazine in the mail, the Trail magazine, that said, if you have a calorie pair, let Missouri know and they'll come chop it down and plant you a free tree. It's just like, no, not ready for that step yet. But since then, I've been looking for calorie pairs around, and there are a lot of them around, but never the ones being chopped down, might I add. Those always seem to be the oaks and the maples, the big trees. But yeah, I've just been spending a lot of my runs looking up at the various types of trees and, you know, trying to see which ones I know, which is not many. But I'm reading The Overstory right now, which is such a beautifully written book. I'll finish in a second. All right, ready for a stride? 3, 2, and 1. And come to a jog. You can keep jogging if you can run 60 minutes. If you can't, you're running those too hard. So yeah, The Overstory by Richard Powers. Definitely recommend it. It is a beautifully written book about our connection with trees and It's about these 5, maybe like 7 or 8 people who have these strange connections with trees, and it's so powerful. And I have to tell you, it's not just me saying this, like honestly 15 people recommended this book to me, so it's worth a read. Okay, we're just gonna turn a corner and then we'll do one more. Okay, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, come to a jog. I've got 30 seconds to go. Okay. And come to a walk. Whew. Thank you for joining me. Let's ground in by touching some element of nature, touching a tree bush. It's got like bumpy leaves. Thank you so much for joining me. Be sure to upload your pictures or let me know. And your homework assignment is to go watch Van Gully. Oh, there's a dog that just pooped in my yard. I'm watching the man pick it up. Nice. Thanks for listening, friends. I'll see you next week.